you like come to your code base and there's like a lot of things to do, and you just like you fire off issues and you see like your bot's working on the issues, and you can like click them and easily see like the state it's in, like how it's thinking about what you asked, like what its plan is.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Tool Use. This week we're going to be covering AI tools for your development workflow. As you build AI tools, you're going to want to take advantage of these to maximize your efficiency and reap the benefits of your efforts as quickly as possible. If it's your first time watching Tool Use, it's a weekly conversation about helpful AI tools where we teach you what is possible today by showing you real examples. We also talk to other AI tool makers to share their perspective, experiences, and help spread the knowledge. This week, we're very fortunate to be joined by Jake Koenig, a developer at Abante, and a very underrated Twitter account considering how funny and informative his tweets are. So really happy to have you here. Jake, how you doing?
Really good. Thanks. Yeah, you're too kind.
Oh, absolutely. And Ty, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited for this episode. I mean, I'm a developer, you're a developer, Jake's a developer. We love all sorts of developer tools, and there's so many options to pick from out there, so I'm excited to see what all our demos are.
Jake, good to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your story. How'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I've been developing. I've been a programmer for like a decade or two, and I've been at Abante for about a year, working on developing AI tools. I met Bio Bootloader, aka Scott Swingle, the CEO, on Twitter. We're in a dad chat. I remember where I was when GPT-2 came out in 2019, and like reading that article about like unicorns and knowing like the world was going to be different. And I'm just really excited to be able to try to get it to do useful work. So what I've been working on at Abante is Mentat. So Mentat is a GitHub bot. So it can review PRs. Like if you submit a PR, it can give you feedback, and you can ask it to write PRs. So you can make issues and you can tag it, and it'll like make PRs for your issues. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I've used it. I think it is really cool. Do you want to give us a little demo of how it works?
Sure. Yeah. I can demo it now. Okay. So yeah, it's available to use today. There's a free tier, so you can try it out. So you can go to mentat.ai, log in with GitHub. So if it's the first time you do that, you'll have to give GitHub permission, but I've already done it. And you can add it to your own repositories in settings. So I was going to show myself using it with LMChat. So I've got this repository LMChat that I've been trying to build entirely with Mentat. So you can see. So this is the repository LMChat. It is open source, but it's very much a work in progress. I'm not saying you should use this. So it's mostly the commits or the PRs are like co-written by me in it, because like I'll have to fix things up sometimes, but not all the time. Like a few of them it was able to do itself. Like I asked it to make the sign-in page better, and it got that good.
How do you co-work with it? It'll put up a PR and then you pull it down and edit it, or can you go back and forth with the bot? How does that flow work?
Yeah. Let me get it started. So I have a bunch of issues pre-made for it. So let me just get it started on one of the issues. So I'll pick one that's sort of easy to understand. So improve test coverage. So on this repo, I'm trying to have like very high test coverage, but I've gotten lazy. So you can see it's fallen a little bit. So this issue is just asking it to improve the test coverage. So let's get it started on that. And I could just write @mentatbot, but I like to be polite.
Apparently even Sam Altman says please and thank you to ChatGPT because he feels like it's an important thing to do, so I get it, yeah.
Yeah, so I do tend to work with it like back and forth with my editor, where like I'll pull down its changes. Oh, see, it's going to start working on this. So yeah, this isn't as fast as like ChatGPT where it's like instant response. So in the back end, like before we need to work on this line. It kind of always says this. This is actually an LLM response, but it kind of always says this because the prompt is not so good at this step. We focus more on like the later steps that actually make the commits. But yeah, it's kind of slow there because it had to like actually like pull down the issue and the repo and like build a context and like look at the code base. And it has the option to say I'm confused here and not try to do the issue, but it tends to always try. Yeah, so I wait for it to make the PR. Sometimes I'll like do two at once just to, because it like working with it's kind of like playing an RTS almost, where I'll just like go back and forth between multiple things, and like it'll push code and I'll pull it down, I'll try it out, and I'll give it feedback and go back to the other one because the other one's ready now. Um, okay, this one could be good too. So I guess I should explain what LLMChat is. The idea is I want to make my own website that's like chatgpt.com, and then the main benefit over chatgpt.com is you can talk to any model. And I also have ideas around shareability features, which I feel like are like not very well supported on chatgpt.com because you can't even share conversations that have DALL-E images, um, which is I think not so good. And then when you share an artifact, it's like not a or not an artifact, but a conversation. It's like not like an editable thing, but like really, if I share a conversation, you should be able to jump in and start talking and editing too. So I'll get started on this one too. I don't know if this one's a little harder. The other one I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do, but this one we'll see if it comes back with something good. Okay. Here you see it's made a PR, and you can click there and see how it looks. So it looks like it changed two files, changes the config, and this test file looks like it added quite a few tests. And you can see it requested my review. And so usually I'll check it out and try it out. So this one, I guess there's nothing to try out except to see whether the tests pass, but it'll actually do that for us. So the tests are running, but when the tests, okay, so we can see they failed. So the bot is actually going to see that they failed and try to fix them.
Sorry, do you have to prompt it to do that, or does it?
It does it automatically. That is configurable as well. So if I go to LMChat, I've configured it to try 7 times. So yeah, depending on the repository, how well it can do at this like varies. So like in this repository, there's no formatting. Formatting is something that it's really bad at doing, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it was just dumb to use an LM to format anyway. But like they can't really alphabetize well. So yeah, we are working on running tools on our backend to like do this automatically. So like now on like the Mentat repository itself, it like will format itself. But it's a lot easier to do things for yourself than for everyone. So but we've made some good progress. I hope to get that out in another week or two.
Nice. Yeah, there's certain deterministic tools that there's no point having an LM replace, like linting formatting. Like if you can just incorporate a pipeline that leverages that, it's just one less cognitive task it has to do, and you just get better results.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it added support for anthropic models. We'll see. So this one, let's see if it actually worked. So I'll show you what LMChat is so far. So, so fair warning, it's pretty ugly, like LMChat. I'm not saying you should use LMChat. This is more an experiment of like whether I can like do the whole thing with Mentat. Yeah, you can see it's done. It looks like we've done an equal amount, but it can't run npm install. So 11,000 of these lines are the package lock. So it's done, I think, about 75% of the work. And this is open source, so you can like go through and read the commits yourself if you like want to verify that I haven't I'm not doing any sleight of hand here.
So does it work like you can just add a comment in there and be like, hey, it looks like you added a comment to the package JSON. Can you remove that? Is that like how you would get it to remove that? Or how would you get it to fix that mistake? Or to just figure it out by itself?
Yeah, you can give inline feedback. I think in this case, it'll figure it out by itself because I think this one is going to see this error and it's like kind of obvious what went wrong and it's going to fix it. Let's see if it succeeded. Yeah, so you see it figured it out and got it out. But you can give inline feedback on things that it's like not getting right.
And that's one thing I think is a really big strength to Mentat, where you can actually do like parallel processes, start offloading some things to the robots as you work on other things, where aspects like having a local AI assistant, it might monopolize your screen, might monopolize the focus. This one can really just run in the background on a different server, so you can do as many processes as you want. Does Mentat have a limit to how many like PRs you can do simultaneously?
It doesn't have a limit to how many like requests you make simultaneously, but it does have a limit to how many like repos can be checked out like doing something simultaneously, or like how many instances of the repo can be checked out simultaneously.
Is this the type of thing I could like turn on at night and have it just kind of cook while I'm sleeping and then wake up in the morning and have a bunch of PRs to review?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's also something you can do on your phone, where like from the GitHub app, like I'll be like putting my DAR down and like I'll like make an issue and tag it, and just in the morning I'll see what it cooked up.
Did it add the little eyeball emojis to that thing there, or Did like the reaction it had? It looked like it added the little like eyes emoji to like see if
Oh,
it recognized it or not.
yeah, it does. It does give like an eyes reaction like before it starts on stuff. So or I
That's so
tagged on this
cool.
one, so you can see like or when I tagged it, it
Yeah,
like reacted. Yeah. So it
I
knows
love
it's
that.
coming in.
It really does kind of seem like a junior developer, you know, like it actually is
Mm.
like responding to messages and making good, you know, comments and making good PR documentation. Like it's actually really impressive.
Yeah. It does tell you what it's gonna do, and like if you click through, these all have like little comments about what it did. Oh yeah, see, I guess earlier we saw that it like inserted this like just in the middle of a test. It looks like it figured that out and it deleted it.
If you like pull down the PR, make some edits, and push it back up, will that automatically trigger Mentat to review your changes?
Yeah, it does. It does review your changes.
What model are you guys using? Like, or what model have you guys found works best for this type of thing? Is it all 3.5 Sonnet or?
I think it's actually more 4.0 than Sonnet at this point, but it's both at different parts of the pipeline.
Different models for different tools. I get it.
A pro tip for working with LMs is you can be rude to them, and it helps sometimes. So in this one, um, it I would check out its PR, and I just like wouldn't see anything. The page would be blank, and I didn't even read the code. I was just like, hey, it's blank. So like I think I told it like 3 times. I was like, see, I don't see any buttons. And I still don't see any buttons. And I still don't see the buttons. And then the fourth time, I'm like, what the heck, man? It's how hard is this? And then it actually worked after this.
I actually found something similar too, where depending on like the emotional addition you put into a message might send the LM down a different path, and sometimes they can actually explore a different work stream if you're like rude to it or very polite, or even if I play the victim being like, you are making my life so difficult, like people really rely on this, I need you to do a good job, and then it'll do it. I'm like, oh wow, I just like coerced it into something with like emotional manipulation. So it's really cool to see like how we can explore these different avenues, because we still don't really know the optimal way to prompt LMs, and you got to play around with it to really figure out what works.
Yeah. We don't do this right now, but I have been thinking like it might be good like when if it fails CI like twice to like start putting some F bombs in there, be like.
Hey, sometimes I work better when I'm berated or treated like treated rudely like that. I'll be like, oh damn, all right, fine, okay, I'll do better.
No, Ty, you're too nice. We're always good to you.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe I'll do better if you're not. So
Fair.
And we're working on letting it run things like npm install itself, which would be nice because then it wouldn't have to guess versions, which obviously it's not good at, and it's dumb to do anyway.
Yeah, because even things with like knowledge cutoff and whatnot, it's just unaware of what the latest is. So having a deterministic tool do that definitely seems like just a way to avoid a few of these iterations where it just will get to the end that much faster.
Yeah.
that's kind of the nature of AI tools right now too for coding. Is it's like even like the SWE-bench scores, is what like for the full runs is like 30% or something right now, state of the art, and maybe it's a little higher than that. Maybe it's like 40 something. But that's like
I forget what Cosign claimed. I thought on SWE-bench Lite they claimed like 50%.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I know SWE-bench verified. Actually, I think there was a new one that was like 42% or something. But still, like even less than 50%, that's like literally hit or miss. It's like more miss than it is hit. So that's kind of just the way these things are.
But yeah, SWE-bench also it's like it's very overfit. Like all those model or all the repos are in like the training set. So yeah, when verified came out, I looked at like our results because I think we're still like number 3 on SWE-bench Lite. I think we were like number 1 for a day or something.
Nice.
But I wanted to see like how we did on the ones that OpenAI said were like 2s or 3s for ambiguity. So like things that you really shouldn't have been possible to do without cheating. Which we didn't cheat, but I mean we use models that are trained on all these things. So I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah. I forget what the benchmark is, but there's some where there's actually mistakes in the benchmark. So all the models that have scored 100 or close to 100% are literally guessing the wrong answers, just showing overfit to the test. So yeah, I'm very skeptical of benchmarks. Actually, on that note, do you have any internal evals or benchmarks? Like how do you test that Mentat is improving besides like the thumbs up, thumbs down from users?
Well, we also track whether people actually merged the code they wrote and like how many iterations it took, and whether they pushed on top of it before merging. And we also grade via LLM. So all of our calls we like pipe through another LLM and we like ask it like, do you think we ask it to grade both the prompt and the response. Like what was the because I don't know, the prompt is what we actually need to improve. So we ask it if it was ambiguous in any way, and we ask it if we think the model succeeded. So we track that over time. But yeah, thanks for letting me demo Mentat.
I love how interactive it is and how it's like you go into GitHub and you collaborate with it like you would any other developer, and add feedback. And I love that it also requests reviews. I think that's hilarious. It's like, all right, I did it. Here, check it out.
And I've actually used Mentat as well myself. In my AI Toolkit, if you remember in the last episode, or episode 6 with TechFriend, I created a GitHub workflow where it would scan the code base and generate issues based on the to-do comments. So I had one just improve README, and I thought, let's see. So tag Mentat, started working on the issue, and almost like instantly a PR opened up, and then it was the enhanced README. And it followed the instructions exactly how I wanted. It has a good title, a good description, it follows the format of the other ones. So I was really happy with it, and just wanted to officially make Mentat a contributor to the AI Toolkit. So really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's awesome being able to have this part of the workflow taken care of, because a lot of people are focusing on the pair programmer, the thing you're working with on your computer in your terminal, but being able to offload that to the robots in GitHub are really cool. So big fan of it so far.
Thanks.
All right, Ty, let's see what you got this week to help developers.
All right, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to demo 2 things. Both things I use all the time. One I use literally all the time, and it's thanks to Mike. Mike actually turned me on to this particular tool. I'll show that one first. It's called Atuin, which is like a history, like a CLI history type thing. So you can kind of just hit the up arrow, and you can see all of your previous commands. And then you can just kind of like, I can enter one in and do it, or I can just directly hit enter and run it. Anyway, it's super convenient. The thing I like most about this though is I can like search, so I can do like, pip, and I can see all of my old pip extensions I've done, which is just super convenient. And so like, and I have some really gnarly commands that I run sometimes for some of my workflows that are like super long, and I don't want to have to write them down somewhere and then rewrite it. So if I run it once, I have it, and then all I have to do is get the first couple characters of it, and it works great. So I don't know what I would do without Atuin. It's just a great thing, and it's one arrow button up, and then you're there, tab or enter. There's also other cool stuff you can do here. You can do like fuzzy search, and there's like I think there's like what's this, global host session too, like for your current terminal session, you can just see your session stuff. Anyway, there's some cool stuff here. Or just the directory. Whoa, weird. I didn't know you could do that. Anyway, there's some cool stuff there. I love Atuin. I think literally everyone should use that rather than the default CLI, because it's just way better. So anyway, that's the first tool.
How do you just press up to use it? It's not even a command?
Yeah, you just press the up arrow. It just replaces your general history, and so you literally just
like
press
a plugin
up.
for. Does every terminal support it, or is this Alacrity you're using? Or
this is every terminal. Yeah, this is every terminal. So you can just kind of hit up arrow and install. I don't know actually what. It's some sort of binary or something that replaces things. I don't know what it's built in, but yeah, it works on all my terminals, which is cool. And it's just so convenient, like a single key.
Type, press up again, and then try Control O.
Control O. Whoa, what is this?
I just discovered that the other day. They give you like a bunch of stats to how you use your terminal.
Huh. Weird.
And you're able to like dive deep into see like what commands you use more frequently, so maybe you can create aliases based on your most frequently used commands. Like there's actually a lot of development going on here to really enhance the terminal experience. And they're not doing a great job with promotion, because I didn't know this existed until I saw along the little top where it says Control O there. So I thought play around with it. But yeah, man, this is a really good tool that I hope more people play around with.
Weird. What is this runs per day thing? Is that just like each of the last days, how many times I've used it? Did I use it 58 times in a day? That's crazy. Something like that. Anyway, that's super cool. I love Atuin, and I think there's no reason not to use it, which is a bold claim to say, but there's literally no reason not to use it.
Oh yeah, in all caps, can you enter API key as well?
API.
They don't actually, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. You get a couple of them.
Oh, but they're cut off. See, okay.
Because I made the thing real big. Yeah. Anyway, it's great. I think everyone should use it. Okay, the second tool I'll show is something that we shipped at Open Interpreter, which is actually just kind of handy. And I don't know if you guys heard of the tool called defuck. It's like it makes some sort of mistake, and then it like uses regex to be like, hey, well, you should use this flag instead of that to accomplish what you're doing, which is cool, and it's widely used. I think it has like 50,000 stars on GitHub or something. It's like crazy, but in the world of AI, why are we using regex for things? And so we made a tool called WTF, so I can try a command like make dir test directory. Okay, that's not going to work, but if I just do WTF here, it's just going to kind of think, and it's like, oh, yep, add a space, and then it's just going to paste it directly in here, so now I can actually just do it. Boom, now it made my test directory, which is pretty convenient. So, I mean, that's obviously a really dumb example, but let's try something a little bit different. How about pip install TensorFlow? And it's like, oh, I can't find that. All right, well, why did that not work? And it's like, probably like, bruh, you missed an R. There it is. And then it just kind of pastes the correct thing in there, and then I can actually pip install, and it'll actually do the whole thing. But I don't know if I want to pip install all of TensorFlow right now. That's actually not what I want to do. But anyway, I make pip mistakes all the time. Python in general, man, I love it and hate it. I have a love-hate relationship with Python, so it really helps with that. Oh, great. There's my giant meeting reminder app. Also, great app. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's an app called Big Red Reminder on the Mac App Store. I never miss meetings now because of it. It just pops up right before your meeting. Anyway, that's that. Okay. Showed off 3 tools. Okay, the last one I'll try here is like, let's see here. I'm going to go into my journal directory, and then I'm going to do something like, I'm feeling sad.
Ty.
Oh, I'm feeling sad. And then I'll pipe that into my journal.txt. I'm like, whoa, permission denied. I hit that, and it should recommend a, sure, let's see if that works. And then I can use my Atuin to go back to what I was doing. And it worked. Okay, cool. So it's pretty straightforward. Like, you run into permissions issues and things. And it also is really good at adding things to like path. Like, if you can add things to your path variable, you can add things to your zhush config, and it's open interpreter, so it can just kind of do it, which is pretty cool. So anyway, it's a really cool tool. If things break, you just type WTF, and you don't even have to add any extra context to it. You can, but you usually don't have to. It just takes the last command and then processes it, and just like, all right, well, this is how you fix it. And then just, I love that it pastes the command directly into the next line so that you can just hit enter and go. Anyway, super cool, fun to work with developers. Highly recommend Atuin and WTF. That's what I got. Back to you, Mike.
Nice. How do people get WTF?
Pip install open interpreter, and it should just come with it. Yeah, should be pretty straightforward. Make sure you have pip, and then just pip install. Make sure you have Python. Make sure you have pip. Make sure you install open interpreter. I have to say that because I say this pip thing, and for some people they're like, "What's pip?" So. But anyway, the real developers now. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
I have been trying to experiment with different AI pair programmers because there's a lot of good tools out there, but it's always good to find what works best with your workflow. And if you remember in episode 6, AJ, tech friend, mentioned that Aider actually performed best in his test. So I thought, let's give it a go. So Aider is a CLI tool. It lives in your terminal as your pair programmer. And I actually think it's been pretty cool. When you want to install it, I do recommend you check out the optional steps to install the developer version. You just get the most up-to-date things, and it's always nice to get the cutting edge. Plus, it'll actually help because it's an open source project. If you encounter any errors, open up an issue to help improve for everyone. So get the dev version, cutting edge. It's a lot of fun. The cool thing about Aider is it's very configurable. So you can see here, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Tons of options for you to be able to configure. One that I set up really early on was disabling auto commits, because every time Aider makes a change, you can have it set up where it'll make a commit. So if you start going down a workflow, things are good, but you realize a couple steps back, it made a mistake, you can get revert to that point. So it's really good for versioning. But lots of configurable options. You can set your model. But let me just dive in and show you what I've done with it. So this is my AI toolkit that I've been working on. And when I originally had it set up, I wanted each script to be completely standalone. So every single one had its own AI service where it would set up the calls to call Grok or call Olama. And I thought, people are downloading this as an entire repo. Let's extract it so we don't have to make an update every time. For example, I added Anthropic recently, and I don't want to have to go through every single script. So I made an AI service. And with this, I've actually been using exclusively Aider for it. So you can see in my Git status, I've been making all of these changes, and it's just been Aider just stepping through. Been really cool. One thing which I've recently started doing is using a conventions.md file, where you can see actually some rules I give to the AI, and this will get passed along every single time, and it's set under the read portion of the configuration. So Aider won't actually update this. It'll just say default for Grok for LM inference if I don't specify something else. If I use Llama, use Llama 3.1. If I use Grok, 3.70 versatile, Anthropic Claude 3.5. And this way, I don't have to tell Aider every single time these conventions I want to follow. It'll just be part of the context, so it's just abstracted away to the background. So let me show you how it works. All you have to do is just type in Aider, and it'll work right off the bat. But if you want to get more specific and say target a certain file, you'll want to pass that in. So let's pass in my Obsidian plugin generator, and then you fire it up. And you can see here, we have the main model being Sonnet. If a weak model, so it does have some intelligent routing based upon what the query is. It'll go to Haiku. It maps your entire repo. It'll give you the token count, and it'll say the files I've added to the chat. So if I want to add something else, you can just add, If I want to /add, let's say the requirements. What folder am I in? Obsidian. Requirements. There we go. And then it's added extra file to the context. Now, because it has access to the directory tree, it can still pull from files if it thinks it needs to, but by being explicit about it, you just kind of improve the likelihood of success. So I can say something like, actually, let me fire up Super Whisper. I would like you to refactor my Obsidian plugin generator to use the AI service instead of calling the LM inference provider directly. And then you can actually tag in files as well. So let's say C AI CLI for reference. Send that through, and then Aider will start processing as your pair programmer. So it'll actually use search and replace. So you can see here in the file, I import Llama and import Grok. But now it'll replace that with my AI service. Same thing. Instead of setting the models directly in the plugin generator, just gets rid of it because it's going to be set in the AI service. Another example, here's the AI service where it queries Grok and Llama. Just delete that entirely. For the other functions, you'll have the AI service passed in now. So just a few little changes, and I'm not going to bore everyone with all the details, but then you'll just say, do you want to run this? And let's say, yes. And then it'll do the things that needed. Oh, there's an error. And then you just say, yes, I would like to add the command. There we go. So we can see get status. Oh, sorry, not in Aider. Get status. We now have the Obsidian plugin generator updated from Aider. So Aider's got a few cool things. Let me get back in there. Aider. What you can do is you can set the chat mode. So right now I'm just talking back and forth with the Claude 3.5 Sonnet, but on their latest version, they've actually implemented architect mode. And what this does now, you can see it has a main model and an editor model. So the main model is actually going to be the architect making the plan for how to strategize making the changes, and then actually an editor. You can use two separate models. So say you want to use O1 for its enhanced reasoning capability, and then 3.5 Sonnet for the editor. You can do that, but they've also found on their testing, because they do their own benchmarking, even having the same model but in the structure produces better outputs. It is more expensive, so you got to take that into account. But if you have very complex changes that you want to do, architect mode is a really cool benefit. So they also have voice mode. So similar to how I used Super Whisper for, if you just go in and do voice, it will now record my voice and it'll pass along as instructions to Aider. So it's just another built-in feature. There we go. It does pass it directly, so it doesn't really understand what I mean, so we'll just say no to that. And finally, like I mentioned earlier, it has that repo map, so you can actually take a look to see how it has mapped out your repository. So you can see the files it has access to, what it's aware of, the functions it can see. So it's become this really cool tool where a fully open source alternative to a lot of the major pair programmers, and they're iterating very quickly. A lot of people are having success with it. So even if it's not what you assume is your ideal pair programmer, I encourage you to try it out because it has a smaller learning curve than a lot of these tools. But once you get in the habit of just interacting with it directly in the terminal, directly beside your code, it's been really beneficial. So yeah, that's my demo on Aider.
That's awesome, man. It looks like a really cool tool. I love the slash commands they have in there. That seems like a great UX for a CLI app.
As someone who likes to explore with new tools, I see a lot of promise in it. Jake, we'd love to get your perspective on development in the age of AI. Where are things going? How do you see things playing out? What is the trajectory that you see us on?
Yeah, I kind of see things as maybe bifurcating a little bit, and like the AI tools, like they really help you make like little tools for yourself. Like I write like way more little Vim utilities than I used to, and it's like way easier to learn things. So in some sense, I think like there'll be a lot more smaller, personalized software. People will be able to like write their own Chrome plugins themselves. Like customizable software is like more valuable when customization is easier. Um, but I also hope and think that these tools will allow us to be like more ambitious to like make larger software projects. It's like I think we're a little earlier days on that. I haven't like seen that much evidence that like teams are moving substantially faster yet, but I'm optimistic that the teams will be able to just do way more, and that software will become more autonomous, and you'll be able to make like high level requests and come back to full apps that are not just piles of mud. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I align with that a lot. I know, as an example, George Hotz says he hates these AI coding assistants because even though it increases speed, it increases likelihood of bugs. But I feel like it's because we're still early days, and as we start like laddering up in capabilities, where we can kind of automate the basic tasks, where it just frees up more developer time and takes cognitive load off the developer doing these tasks and allows AI to handle it, they're able to focus on these bigger things. So I do agree that we're heading that direction. I think we got to work our way up to it, both in terms of model capabilities and just the amount of tooling available. But everyone's going to be able to make their own custom tools now, so you can have your own workflow be perfect for you, which will allow you to be more efficient, so you can contribute to these bigger things. So I think it's a very reasonable trajectory that we're on.
I also love the idea of like I keep talking about this on this show like all the time. I talk about ambient agents, and I just love this idea of like there's almost too much human in the loop right now. I mean I think human in the loop's a good thing, but that's one of the things I like about Mentat a lot is you can just kind of like let it roam, and just kind of step away from your computer and not have to be there watching it. And I think there's going to be more and more of that, of like almost like AI employees. So like if I did want to make my own Git or make my own web app or make my own desktop application or something, I could just be like, all right, well, I'll be very explicit with my instructions and my requirements and things like that. And then after that, like, you're your own person, AI. Like, go do your thing. Like, make the decisions. Build me an app. Take all night if you need to. And I also love this idea of like, I wish something could just use my like ChatGPT credits and my Anthropic credits so it doesn't cost me a fortune or something like that. But I don't know. I just really want something that cooks in the background and just builds the things I want without me having to debug constantly and do all of that. But yeah, I'm really interested in the idea of ambient.
Yeah, I'm thinking of ways to like get people even like less in the loop on Mentat, where like maybe you could like make its own issues. I'm constantly thinking of like how we can close the loop and like have Mentat be like looking at your code base and like noticing that there's sort of code duplication. There could be like a potential for refactor, or like the code quality's not so good here, and things like that. Because yeah, I feel like in the repo I showed LMChat, there's a lot of like cruft that could just be cleaned up, and I don't want to like go through making like a million issues. That's like another thing I'd like to do.
AI agents are a very hot thing. I feel that Mentat is, in some way, it has agentic behavior. What is your definition of AI agents? What do you think of the state of AI agents? Like, just give us your perspective on that.
Yeah, I feel like people do mean two slightly different things when they talk about agents, where there's like this approach where the AI has like a variety of tools available to it and a goal, but other than that, it's just kind of like in a loop, and at every step, it's like, what tool would you like to use? And then maybe another approach is just like, I guess Mentat's end of things is where it's like more tracked, where it's like, here's an issue coming in. Now you have the opportunity to plan. Now you have the opportunity to decide where you want to edit. Now you make the edits. Maybe you get triggered by CI and you iterate, but like there's no question of like, now you do whatever. And I think that's the right approach, though I'm not like that confident. I haven't like tried to make like freeform agents that much. I like thinking an analogy to how people work. Like when you come to your computer, you can kind of do anything. It's kind of crazy to think like you can talk to anyone you've ever met. You can try to talk to basically anyone ever. Maybe that's harder depending on who you want to talk to, but you probably could succeed more than you think. And then like you're at your terminal, you can enter any command. You could probably like implement the whole PR as like a compressed bash one-liner. But really, you have like guardrails, or not like guardrails, but you have like grooves in your mind that you follow. You're like, okay, I'm a developer. Well, what do I need to work on today? I've got a gyro ticket, I've got an issue, and then you like kind of follow this process of making the change and then submitting it and then like making the next one. And you get into habits, and it's not like, even though you could do a lot of stuff, you like kind of have this route in your mind of how you're going to go. And I feel like that makes sense to hard code and not like let the LM decide at every step. Like I've heard from one user of Mentat that they like us more than Devin because Devin can open PRs, but it's not like a hard flow. It has to like run the Git commands itself, so it's like a little less consistent than Mentat at that.
Jake, what do you think about the like UI future for AI and AI agents? I think that's one of the hardest problems to solve right now in the space, and some of the biggest differentiating factors. And we've see people like Devin and Cognition doing one thing and Mentat doing another. Like, where do you guys see UI heading in this like interaction with AI?
I have like an ambitious answer, which I don't know if this is really how it's going to play out, but I've been thinking a lot lately about like working with these tools like you would play an RTS, where like you like come to your code base and there's like a lot of things to do, and you just like you fire off issues and you see like your bots working on the issues, and you can like click them and easily see like the state it's in, like how it's thinking about what you asked, like what its plan is, and maybe you could give feedback there to interrupt it, or you could just think it's good. And like your view is like of the code base, and you can like see like what parts the agents are active in, so you can like see merge conflicts before they happen. And I just feel like it would be really cool. But yeah. And another UI thing that I think would be really good is if the bot could like record its own usage of what it's making. So like using Mentat, like a big part of like human in the loopness is that like when it makes a change, I like check it out and try it, and then I'll give it feedback. So yeah, on the LMChat repo, one like thing I did, which I need to write more tests, but I at first it was all unit tests, but I had like a Selenium test because I was constantly like opening up the website and seeing the dev tool output and pasting it in, and there was no way for it to see that. So now that it has like Selenium, maybe we'll be able to see that sometimes, though. I only wrote like one test that basically just makes sure the website opens. But it would be really cool, I think, if like after it made a change, it like checked it out and ran it itself, and it said, "Hey, here's what it looks like." And then it might catch some bugs too. So I think that would be like a good UI thing to see.
Like the observability and being able to see like what the thing's actually doing, and both for the human to see what the AI is doing, but also for the AI to understand what it's doing, where it's been, and where it's going. I feel like is such a key thing. And I think keep bringing up Devin, and I don't think they. Okay, this is a hot take, but I don't think they deserve as much credit as we're giving them right now yet. But the UX was a new thing, right? You give it a terminal, you give it a browser, you give it a chat, and give it all the tools that a standard developer has. And so I think that was a very interesting move to be like, no, you're an actual developer. Here's all the tools that you need. But it does feel like there's something missing there, kind of like that what you're saying, Jake, with this like overview of seeing where it's at in the repository and seeing merge conflicts ahead of time, and overall like the bird's eye view of what it's trying to do. They gave like Devin and some of these other tools are very much like in the trenches, very much like first person shooter, like you are a developer, you are doing this thing, but I feel like we're missing this like architecture of being able to see the bird's eye view of what's going on and kind of being able to see over the horizon. Maybe there's some of that with Ader, Mike, in this like architecture mode or architect mode that they have, but I feel like there's room for improvement there.
Yeah, I know. I would love a dashboard where it kind of says in progress, has an error, needs confirmation, and you can kind of click in, almost like a Kubernetes type management over a bunch of VMs where agents are running individually. But then you need the collaboration issue. Like if they're working in the same code base, how do they know what each other's working on? Can they talk? Is there like back channels of communication? There's so much room for innovation in this space that it's exciting to be a part of it, but I'm at a loss as to how it'll play out because we're operating under so many assumptions for how we work like we work with code and whatnot, that as the new generation comes up, they don't have the same assumptions and they can start completely fresh. Like maybe the whole concept of a Kanban board is out the window because it'll just be a more visually fluid type thing. I don't know. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's easy to get inspiration from like how like PMs interact with developers like in the present era, but I guess like it's very different in like at least two ways. Like one of which is you can ask for something and get something back in like a couple of minutes, whereas like maybe with the developer you need to wait a week, maybe longer. We can be slow. But another big difference is like you need to like give people space. Like it's like rude to be over their shoulder all the time. It'll like make them less effective. But you don't really need to give the AI space. You can kind of like really get in there and be like, hey, no, you're doing this wrong. Drop some F-bombs.
Yeah.
How's Open Interpreter thinking about agents? I haven't followed your product that much, but it's like you like ask for something and it like writes the scripts and then runs it on confirmation, right? So it's like not really a multi-step thing right now, right? Or are there more complicated flows in the product?
Yeah, so single-threaded, you ask it a task, it'll do it. It is capable of doing multi-step planning. The limitation of LLMs is long-term reasoning, so we're still figuring out ways to increase the performance of those multi-step plans. Anything short, it's very good at because it does blend the creativity and breadth of capability of an LLM with the determinism of code. But you can actually set up profiles. And what's cool is by default, it has a wide breadth of capability. But if you make a profile that really limits the scope and adds depth to it, and you can say your scripts are saved here. This is the command you run to add a new cron job. You can actually be very like you can put on the training wheels and baby it along. And then you can actually have it where you fire Open Interpreter a certain profile to do one task, fire up another instance Open Interpreter doing another task with a different profile. So you can really start targeting the specific instance, the specific conversation to a certain task. We're still looking into options for that higher level, like architect planner, where you could say, I want to route to this profile, that profile. But right now, as you as the user are able to say, I want to fire up just an example I've used in the past, my talk to database profile. And then you're able to use Open Interpreter to use natural language queries to control your database, whether it's reading or for the brave of us, writing as well. And then you can have another one saying, I want you to do file organization. So based upon the results of this database query, I want you to organize the files in this way. So having multiple ones interact is really cool. Ty had a great demo back in the day. I think it might have been your first viral tweet, but I'm not sure, where he had Open Interpreter spawn an instance of Open Interpreter using two different LM providers. I think one was Olama and the other was LM Studio. So it's just like this self-replicating AI. Caught a lot of heat. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah, I think I might have seen that.
I literally had Pause AI, the organization, like the CEO of Pause AI was on there commenting the organization itself. And like, do you realize what you just did? I'm like, I don't think you guys realize, like, this is not as crazy as you think it is. This is just it, like, making a new window and typing text into it. But it really caught fire because I made it seem like these things are going to get let loose on the world. But no, it's kind of basic.
The Skynet memes went nuts.
It really did. That's why it went viral, though. I mean, a little bit of controversy on Twitter goes a long way.
Yeah, the recursive stuff is really cool. One day Mentat's going to rewrite its whole self. I'll like just put the whole thing in context space. Just write this again.
One thing on Aider, actually, they include the stats in every release, how much of the code was written by Aider.
Oh yeah, 42% now, right?
They passed 60 at one.
Oh, whoa.
Jake, awesome talking to you today. It's been a lot of fun learning about Mentat. I can't wait to incorporate into my workflows more. Before we let you go, anything you want to plug?
Just Mentat. Yeah, it's free to try. I think you get like 10 commits a week for free, or maybe 5. But yeah, it's only $30 a month for much more than that. Yeah, give it a try. And all feedback's welcome.
I'm not going to let you go without plugging your Twitter. So what is it again so people can follow you?
Oh, yeah, it's JA3K_.
Nice. Yeah, highly recommend people follow. Ty, another great episode. We do have a little special surprise for everyone. This Thursday, we're going to be releasing one more episode with Jake where we're going over Vim. So if you've been curious and want to dip your toe into it, we both used it in our demos today, and Ty was a little bit envious. So we want to make sure we spread the knowledge there. Make sure to tune in then.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a very special form of brain damage.
All right. See you guys next time.
See ya.